back. So we continue our conversation, and of course, Zorisha Hackett, Temporary Secretary of Tourism, however, Secretary of Education,
Research and Technology.
And of course, joining the Kaza movie I'm making. Anyhow, on set presently is Mr. Niall George, Assistant Secretary of Tourism, and of course, Antiquities, Culture, and the rest of it. Right. Good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Here I like our Niall. You've seen him in every function. And I really want to commend you for that. If you have no secretary there, when you have a function, watch out. You must see the white beard somewhere in the crowd. But anyway, so, Mr. George, right. So, a successful carnival, what would you pick as, what would have contributed, maybe, let's say in 5 words, what would you would have said led to the success of this 2025 carnival?
Consultation with main stakeholders. And that's the pillar on which the carnival is being built. Because we are heading in the direction where one day these stakeholders would be in control of the carnival. You know, so it's important. I know you said 5 words there, but I have to explain my 5 words.
No problem.
It's important for us to keep in constant consultation with the SIGs because those are the people and the backs on which the carnival is built.
Mm-hmm. A consultation, Ms. Hackett, and clearly, well, we're not going to the controversy, but what were the main concerns when consulting with the stakeholders, the band leaders and so on, that they had? Was it,
not enough communication, firstly, and not enough inclusion. At the end of the day, they are expected to bring their product and they're honing their craft and they keep making the investments with the support of the Tobago House of Assembly. But they were crying out for, you know, a seat at the table in the planning stage. You know, they were only consulted when it was time for us to execute. But they needed to be because, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to ensure that we build this with them in mind. They are the ones who are actually taking their products on the road. So, Toco, Pantry and Tobago, the Tobago Promoters Association, and of course, the Tobago October Carnival Band Leaders Association, TOCA. And they were able to be front and center, and that advisory team that the Chief Secretary pulled together had a representative from each of the major stakeholder groups, those special interest groups. And what we also had was the fact that the CEO and his team was able to sit in on these meetings and provide the reports. And we had that communication going up and down through the ranks, and very, very timely as well. And the solutions were had immediately because you got it from the persons who actually were responsible for bringing the product. So, so I think that open communication, the consultation, the collaboration, having persons feel included from the very start made the difference. All
right, Mr. George, the whole question of band leaders in Tobago that can learn, that was one of the objectives early when the Ronnie McIntosh and who said that they're willing to teach, you know, varying aspect of mass making, if you want to call it wire bending. That was an undertaking that the THE was supposed to, undertake so as to pass on the knowledge. Where are we in terms of what knowledge we are learning from those people who have been in the game longer than us and know about the mass? What knowledge are we gaining in Tobago as far as the band leaders concerned, the Trinidaders to the Tobago in collaboration?
Well, Brother B, that's still a work in progress. But if you looked at Monarchs of Mass this year and you look at the quality of the offerings this year, you are seeing constant improvement, and it shows that the band leaders and the mass makers are honing in their craft and increasing the quality that they are providing. We have to go a step further in terms of the assistance we provide to these band leaders to help them up the ladder, because this product has to continue to grow. And that's one of the things that continues to make me proud of being in this position. I'm just going to take a small segue to even the Soca Titans. You know, when I look at where we were 3 years ago as to this
where
year,
you know,
you can certainly see we have to look for a venue for Soca Titans next year because we have outgrown
it. All right. So let's talk, and I want to, you know, bring this into, I mean, you can't control what the DJs may promote, but you can promote and control what you are hosting, like the Soca Titans and what have you. we have had, and I must bring this into perspective because I was confronted with it, and they cost me that I did not talk about it when I was talking about the DJs not playing the Tobago artists. And we chose to play reggae music, but I not want to focus there. These artists who would have won the prizes, they will get the prizes. However, they may need whatever help in developing their craft even more.
Yes.
After they have won, maybe, I don't know, in some prizes you win free studio time. There is the Marshall Montano, who's the Niall George, and all those who have been experienced in this industry maybe need to have some guidance. Has the division considered giving them that opportunity to work and to develop with those professionals who have been out there?
So, Brother B, two things. One, we invested into their stage presence, in their ability to have vocal training and to be able to remain dominant with their sound on stage, tonality and all of that. Good morning, Stephanie. Stephanie did an excellent job, and Natoya Johnson was also part of that. Last year we had Sharon Phillips, and so we continue to invest in them, developing their craft. What I want to implore of our Soca Titans prospects is that they record earlier so we can rotate the music and push for that rotation of the music earlier. And one of the things we want to do, and we're getting into it from 2026, is have our Tobago version of a road match.
Because that's what I was going to ask next.
A road match.
Yes.
You see what that's going to do? It's going to that incentive, additional incentive, is going to force two things. It's going to force the actual soca artists to promote their music more and to even get into those DJs' heads that listen, for me to win this thing. So my music has to go out earlier. I'm going to get the actual masqueraders more involved to learn my lyrics and to get them excited about wanting my song to play, especially when you pass those activation points, and the incentive of adding something to it, right? Of course, a cash prize, a major one. I just saw Marshall Montano received his just yesterday, since February. So, you know, sometimes you speak about late payments, but But I think that additional incentive is going to push it on both levels.
I want to applaud you.
Artists and with the
Ma'am,
actual
I want to
DJs.
applaud you for that. Just yesterday, DJ and I was talking about Tobago Road March.
Yes.
Because back in the day, we had that.
Yes. I will give it a unique Tobago name. But
so,
yes.
And you mentioned there about giving the artist the rotation on the air.
Yes.
It would mean you go to a radio station, you tell them, look, I want you to rotate it, but they ain't going to do it unless it's sponsored or it is paid for. Is the teacher willing to pay for rotation on the air so that whatever radio station, go to them, hey, we have 5-6 artists here. We want this music to play. We're paying for it. Or whatever. So they have no other choice. So that,
Brother B, I think
is that realistic?
So, Brother B, I'll take this one, right?
Yes.
If you notice the direction that we have taken with the Tobago Carnival is it has been increasing incrementally. Because you talk about bills, right? And payments and being paid on time. You also can't incur too much cost because then you would never be able to pay the bills, right? And these things have to go hand in hand. Although you would like the rotation on the air, you would like quality. Nobody's going to listen to it if it isn't quality, right? So we are working on, we have taken the approach in the carnival to take it bit by bit, not try to take on too much and have it collapse. And if you have seen what has been happening year by year, you would have to agree that it has been working and we have taken.
So I like you with the road march because that's something I was wondering about.
Yes.
And so we have every
We're there now.
All right. But I want to go on the road. And I was a masquerader in Foggy Angel. You were supposed to come this morning and cruise to talk and things. But anyhow.
Probably can't catch yourself.
And I mentioned it and you mentioned it the last time. What was for me a sore point is that barricade in Scarborough. Now, the intent is good. However, it caused congestion. And it could have caused more injury. Hold on. If you really want, I'm saying, was it the best option to treat with this whole question? And why in that area? Because if you're saying there are more limers there, and that's the reason why, and it's to protect it from the truck. The truck already have the protection that is by law that they have to have and so on. But I am asking, given the congestion and people have to come out of the band and walk on the side where the same barricade is because they cannot get down because another truck coming up and so on. What was the rationale behind, how you to explain it further? And should it be maintained? Do you think it's given the complaints that you have had from bystanders? and business people who suffered as a result that people can't cross the road in peace to buy a beer or to patronize a
Right.
soup.
So, Brother B, firstly, we want to use evidence when we make these types of statements. The largest man on the road last year took 35 minutes from that E-Day supermarket to Sangster Hill Junction. 35 minutes. The largest man on the road took 6 minutes. Now, they had a rest point right there, which we'll have a conversation about the placement of that rest point. But they took 5 to 6 minutes to get from that point to that point. So the congestion we're speaking about was actually reduced this year. So the challenge is not about the masqueraders, which you want to move along. You have persons lower down on Calypso Road, Rose Boulevard, looking out for the mass as well. When you spend 35 minutes there, you're going to a rest point. Those persons further down on Calypso Road, they don't get the experience someone at probably Market Square would get. So that's the first area. Secondly, the masqueraders have paid for an all-inclusive experience. So you're not really going to get a masquerade unless they probably think the bar is too far, and they'll probably buy a water, support what's happening on the outside. And a lot of masqueraders do that, but it's not an entitlement because you've paid for an all-inclusive experience. The spectators who were in probably that 100 feet or so, sorry, that 100 meters or so barricaded area, they were already behind the barricade. I actually tested it. I came off of a truck, went. The vendors were very, they came up with a lot of ingenious ways of getting the money over the barricade and the water. Yeah. But when you ask them, they were more afraid of it before it actually happened. So when they saw it being put up, you know, the fear came. I don't think I'm going to make enough. I don't think I'm going to. But I saw some real nice creative ways. They had a runner. They were passing the money over. And I myself, I'm not a very tall person, was able to just pass my money over the barricade because the barricade was placed very closely to, let's say it's a bar, to that bar counter. And it didn't hamburg, or you know, there wasn't a disturbance or disruption in passing it over. I think it was more a fear factor, but Brother B, health and safety comes first. When the trucks are making that wide turn there, because it's a very concentrated area of spectators, there's some safety challenges, and we have to ensure that the safety of the spectators. So you disagree?
I disagree with that completely.
Before you move ahead, right? This thing was with consultation, right? And band leaders, the president of Toka is part of the advisory team.
Okay.
So that measure was one that was approved by the persons participating, and we have to be very mindful that, again, this carnival is in infancy. Nothing is set in stone. We can always.
Let me ask though, and I want to get Mr. Cowan spoke about extending the route, or tweeting the route. Well, it's not finalized yet. It's an idea.
Yes.
We've had in the past, we went all the way to Lambo, and people were exhausted to come back up and so on. I am thinking in my mind, if there's any extension, it would be just to go around to
Garden side.
No, if you had to use the highway,
right,
to go up to Works there and come down the hill and
up the Works Hill.
Yeah, I don't know, not going up, but coming from Orange Hill. This is me. If there's any, but anyhow, you already work that out.
Yeah.
Before we get ready to go, let's get right. So marketing is ongoing.
Yes.
You said that the tourism secretary is out there in World Travel Market already.
Yes.
And,
on her way to.
On her way to.
Yes.
And there are already packages. Well, we started marketing in 2026 already. How do we, is there, for example, let's say, I don't want to say last minute, but there are options in the US, because this intent to bring flights directly from the US, as was said by the Minister of Finance, cannot be left to go by the side of the road. Are we intending to go to the varying, if you call it media house in the States, because they do it, Pix 11 and what have you, the View with and so on, so as to promote the carnival coming? Are there any intent to do that?
Well, you saw an activation at Times Square in that Tobago Day weekend, and it was an absolute success.
Yes.
Now, on one end, we understand the value of marketing, and we understand what, you know, being a brand ambassador is, and having persons go out there, actually leave the island and go out there. But we have a very large diaspora, Brother B, and what I think we need to do is tap in some more to our influential members of the diaspora and have them market on us, because, you know, there's always a complaint that this administration travels too much. So on one breath, you want to be able to push the brand of Tobago Carnival there, but at the same breath, it costs a lot of money. And so what we would look for is major activation points. So we look for what we consider to be avenues for us to push it, where a lot of persons would gather anyway and have that as the activation point, but utilize our diaspora to help us to promote the carnival.
Lastly, I'm going to ask, and I want to bounce on that same bringing direct flights to Tobago. Obviously, the airport has to be up and running in the first quarter.
Has to be.
But let's capitalize on that opportunity that was spoken to. However, to activate it, it means, therefore, we have to do certain things. What do we need to do from a tourism standpoint? Everybody's putting on your tourism hat now to get that booking from the American visitor to get the direct flights for the quote-unquote the Americans to come to Tobago.
Having the conversations with the large airlines. We can't have the conversations alone, though, again, just because we are not directly responsible for that. And again, this is where the parliamentary conversations happen and the collaboration between, for instance, our Minister with Transportation and Civil Aviation, right? And the Secretary of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. Having those conversations to tap into the markets where we're noticing most of our rivals coming from. We're still, you know, into the European market, but listen, more and more the North American market is becoming dominant. As a matter of fact, if you look at the figures of the tourists that came for the carnival, we have a major North American pull. The influx came from the New York, from the Atlanta, from the Miami, from the Philly, from the Washington, D.C., from the New Jersey. So we have a lot of those persons coming, not only for the carnival, but more and more North American, Toronto, right, Canada, are coming into our island. And so that is where the conversation needs to go to the major airlines.
I want to ask you a question.
Not only the European market, but tapping into North America.
I want to ask about tourism with the whole, we could deal with that boat that sink and so on, but we aren't going to that yet because I want Mr. Alan Stewart. We're going now. Just lastly. The whole question of antiquities and earning from our historical sites with US dollars. Mr. George, what plans are there to monetize? Because we can't have the tourists going here and it's free, and they will ask it's free.
Yes.
And they're surprised that it's free.
You have to pay for everything everywhere else.
So let's talk to that, monetizing the antiquities, and then we're going to wrap.
So currently, the technical advisor, Culture and Antiquities, Dr. Charleston Thomas, and myself, we are working on an antiquities build-out for the division, and that would include all of the things that you speak about, monetizing, finding, securing the artifacts and so forth, and working on a plan to do exactly what you just said. So that is being worked on and should be rolled out.
Is there any plan to rejuvenate and to bring back the lighthouse at the lighthouse? I
heard you speaking about it recently. I know that there was a lighting modality place there, not the real thing. It didn't shine as brightly, and we were actually in the process of procuring it. You would appreciate that these things are very expensive. As a matter of fact, when we did that upgrade there at Fort King George, it was one of the items, the elements that you wanted to restore. You know, the pride and joy of the island. I used to be up Bethesda Hill as a child and see that light, you know, so brilliant it was. So yes, it's definitely going to be a replacement. We've still been, we've been sourcing it. It's going to cost a lot. So again, I want Tobagonians to understand the investment made, but I think that is going to add to the build out there at Fort King George. And when we monetize it, you actually have something for persons to pay to look at.
Excellent.
Right?
Yeah, man.
That is something.
Done in 2 phases. So restoring the light
was phase 1. Yes.
Right.
Replacing the light.
Replacing the light was part of that, but the light had to be ordered. So although the restoration of the lighthouse building it was complete, we had to wait for
excellent.
Well,
yes. Look forward to it soon.
Yeah, man.
The second phase will be a deck.
Excellent. So you could go
viewing deck.
Right.
Yes.
And then when you light part, you walk up with your girlfriend, and when you give it a dark part, you kiss, and then when people, so I go down here. All right. So I want to thank you all, Mr. Cowan, Mr. Hackett, and of course, Mr. George. Indeed, a pleasure having you. Thank you, God,
for having us.
And I'll get that juicy for me and thing, right?